Hi, everybody. I want to thank y'all for being such great patrons in my Patreon. I also like to thank one of our newest members, Ron Bowers. Thank you, my man. Keep watching. And please, keep watching with your shirt off. Ha ha ha. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Late Late Horror Show with Dino and
Ted Rico.
As always, I mean, you've been hearing the same shit for 4 years.
Right. D&T.
And what is this you got?
Oh, I got John Stanton's favorite shirt on.
There you go, John.
Whoops. Nip slip.
Oh, jeez. Hey, you'll enjoy that.
You will?
Did you enjoy that?
What are you talking me into doing here?
Get Ted to strip here in a second. A real quick shout out.
Doesn't take much.
Real quick shout out here to all of our Patreons. Our patrons on Patreon. What the hell did I say?
Patrons on Patreon.
Yeah,
I like that.
Big shout out to all you guys.
Yeah.
You guys all mean a lot. Again, support. It's great. Really appreciate it. All the links are down below.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and
click them.
Yeah. So you know, we are going a little bit old school this week. We wanted to do something we love to talk about: old school horror.
Yes.
And that's freaking hell. That's what we're doing. And I do got another thing I'm going to be doing every now and then. Poor Ted can't join me. The casual commentaries. Where I get somebody, audio only, on the channel, and we just talk about a movie we have. And that was a movie I wish me and you would have
I know that movie. I know that movie.
The Brain?
I know that movie.
No, that was the first time I watched it.
Well, you don't watch quality
Eric
movies.
didn't know it either.
I know that movie.
And I was surprised that Eric from the Death Twitch did not see it. But nevertheless, we're here to talk about The Creature from the Black Lagoon.
You could have had all my knowledge.
Trilogy.
The trilogy.
The trilogy.
Creature from the Black Lagoon, Revenge of the Creature, and The Creature Walks Among Us.
Yes.
We did a full-blown commentary on Creature from the Black Lagoon ages ago. You can go back. I don't think we'll dwell a long time on it. But, you know, it was nice to revisit it, and I probably have some things to bring to the table about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to start right off with the first movie, which was, The Creature from the Black Lagoon from 1954.
Year my mom was born.
The year your mom was born. Okay,
year my mom was born.
And this movie, as well as the second one, they're both directed by Jack Arnold. He did not come and do the third one. That was John Sherman.
It was his assistant
or Sherwood,
director,
I think.
that got a bump.
Yeah.
Jack Arnold went on to bigger pictures, and then that's how this Hollywood, the studio system used to work. Like, if you did pretty good, then you moved up to bigger and better pictures, and then like the assistant directors got a bump. Everybody got a bump up.
Right.
You know, just that's kind of how it worked.
But real
like being promoted.
Exactly. But real quick, this first movie, again, this is like
the last Universal monster.
And
not necessarily the last horror movie.
Right.
But they were all like science fiction tinged after that. The Silent Earth.
Right.
Came from
And
outer
that's what I was going to get to. This the first movie, of course, a classic, the best of the series. I'd say 2 and 3 are more B movies, even though a lot of people would say Creature from the Black Lagoon is a B movie, but no
way.
I consider it A-list. This is a movie, man. This
filmed in beautiful 3D.
This is Universal's grade A creature movie, and
I was just going to say, what a perfect monster movie.
Yeah, the first one, yes. This one, the very first one.
It's
got Julie Adams,
beautiful.
Richard Denny.
Mm-hmm. He's beautiful too.
You know, those are the main characters on there. It also got Richard Clarkson, and that consists of David, Kay, and Mark. The three kind of intermingled there, but Kay in this movie, Julie Adams. Again, 2 and 3, which we'll get to.
He goes for blondes in those.
Two blondes in those pictures, but Julie Adams is a brunette and very beautiful.
My favorite.
And yes, she captures me in this.
She just passed away
movie.
Not too long ago, like maybe last year, 2.
Yeah, 90s, right? Yeah. Something like that.
Just passed away not long ago.
But Julie Adams in this movie, as well as Richard Denny. I mean,
you get your juices going too.
Not the juices going, but their performances were so spot on and so great. What I love about this movie, if you watch Creature from the Black Lagoon, from the moment they hop on that ship Not ship. You won't call it. It's a boat. A boat.
Tugboat.
Yeah, whatever. With what's his name? What was his name?
Lucas.
Lucas. Okay.
He's in the first and the second one.
Yeah, Lucas. It's his boat.
I forgot the name of the boat. What is it? The Lupita or something like that?
Something like that. Yeah.
I know these waters like the back of my hand.
And he comes back in part 2. But anyways. The minute, and this is what I love about this movie, and not all movies can do this, and I don't think I brung this up in a commentary. Rewatching it again last night, like I did.
You watched all 3 of them in one day?
Yep.
Wow, I spaced them out over a few days.
I did a full blown.
Damn. You're all creatured out.
Well, but this first movie again, which I haven't stated in the past commentary that we did, not a lot of movies do this, but. From the moment they hop on that boat and start going to the lagoon, for some reason, and tell me if you felt the same way, I felt like I was on that boat. Somehow they portrayed this to me and gave me that feeling. I felt like I was on this boat, traveling with them throughout the whole movie.
It's a little bit
like on that ship.
It's a little bit like Apocalypse Now, man. You're taking the journey with them down the river.
I felt like I was
there on the journey
with the characters, enjoying what I was seeing and what was going on,
watching the mundane existence until they get to where they're going.
Right.
You know what I like about the movie is that it starts off, man. They chip away that arm in the rock. You get what's this? Then you see the creature's arm come out. I mean, you don't have to wait. It's not like a Godzilla movie where you have to wait 50 minutes to get to the monster. You
right
get to
away,
see
man.
him pretty soon.
Right away.
And just the underwater photography is incredible.
The suit, which continues
flawless.
Over the second movie. And then there's
you don't see a crease, a zipper, anything. I mean, they even make the gills go out. When he's out of the water, he does that fish lip thing. It's amazing.
In the later movies, they even make the throat come out, which, things go down a little bit, from the first movie. But anyway.
The costume's a little different in the others. I seem to notice in the second one, like, bubbles coming out of the top of the head all the time. A lot
more bubbles, yeah.
I didn't notice that in the first one.
And I think they made it a point to try not having that happen in the first movie, right?
Yeah.
We talked about that.
Because he shouldn't.
Right. We talked about that in the first commentary about... I forget how they did it, but somehow they did something. Go back and watch our commentary because I know we did research on that and figured how they made that not happen. But anyways, part 2. There's bubbles everywhere.
I wish you could have seen it in 3D. My daughter and I saw it a few years ago.
Yeah, and
she was the only kid. Not the only kid there. For a while, she was the only kid, but right before the movie starts, people came. But it was filmed in real 3D, and I'm not a huge 3D nut when it comes to movies because I know so many of them aren't shot natively. They're just, converted.
Gotta love a 3D nut.
After the fact. 3D nut.
Slap me in the face.
So most of the time it's a waste of time to see it that way.
Yeah.
But on the rare occasions when there was a film that was actually shot that way, like I remember, like this film, like this film, or Avatar was shot that way, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it looked cool. Or I remember
Sacrilege,
or is it? I don't know.
No, I guess.
This is a horror channel, not a sci-fi channel. No one will notice. Or like Life of Pi. Remember that movie? The kid on the boat with the tiger. Yeah. I mean, those fish were jumping all over the place. I mean, it was amazing. And
it's made for
so sometimes when it's made that way, and that's the intent,
right?
I'm all about it. It's cool.
Right.
And this film, I wasn't expecting much when I saw it 3D, but goddamn,
look good.
It was amazing. The depth in the water,
right?
And it was just perfect. And I know they did this for the second one as well. But the second one, I mean,
we'll get to that.
There wasn't much. I don't feel like there was much for the 3D, but
there's a quick synopsis we can say.
If you're one of those people that have a 3D TV and player and you can watch the Blu-ray that way, by all means, I envy you. You guys are lucky because it looked amazing.
I got a 3D TV upstairs.
You do?
Yeah.
Oh, go.
I think I sold the glasses because I really didn't get anything.
Oh no, you could have been watching Creature in the Black Lagoon.
Yeah. Oh well. But I mean, that's, again, go back to our commentary on The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Watch that if you want for a lot more information on that film. But we just figured we'll put them all 3 together. We'll talk a little bit about Shape of Water at the end and maybe some other creature stuff movies.
So do you have any new thoughts about just because we've said a lot about the first one already.
Yeah.
Even in our other commentary. Any new thoughts from watching it again? Just love it more and more. And
yeah, the first one, yes. I mean, yeah, I can watch it. I don't know how many times, and I just love it. Like I said, it's one of those movies on you know, every now and then on a dark night you just plop it on.
So much fun.
You know, the TV's there. It's all black everywhere except that little black and white in front of you, and you know,
fun.
yeah. And I'm on board, man, and I'm just, you know, inching along, you know, through the tributaries and into the lagoon and
everything about it.
And again, I can't get enough of Julie Adams. You know, we again, I gushed over it in our commentary.
We love our old school scream queens, the originals, the OGs,
and she was a beauty. She was one, man. But,
I have two things, and I don't know if I mentioned either of them in the previous commentary. But
okay,
I like the beginning when you see the void and it says, you know, in the beginning, you know, God created the heavens and the earth. Okay, now they go with the whole, you know, Genesis version there.
Yeah.
But then they start talking about evolution, and I like how they, you know, they reconcile those two things. In 1954, Hollywood was able to reconcile evolution and the Bible, and and it seemed like it was no problem, because that's what they talked about, evolution. Yeah. And, you know, creatures coming from the sea.
They tried.
It was just interesting. Like, I think for 1954, that was probably a little interesting. You know, then you start talking about some evolution.
Well, what did they say in that opening? They said the Earth, which was totally. I mean, I don't know where they got the numbers at the time, but they go, the sun cooled from 6,000 degrees all the way down to 600 or something like that. Something like that. And I'm like going,
really? That's all?
That's what I'm saying.
That can't be right.
No, it's not right. That's my point. Well, we got that sun satellite thing. I forget what the name of that thing is, but that, I mean, we're not talking 6,000 degrees. We're talking, there's degrees.
My oven gets almost 600 degrees.
No, 6,000. It says.
I know.
It started at.
Your oven goes up to like 500.
Right. It was very odd numbers that they said, and I'm like going, you're not even close.
That's about how it feels outside today.
But again, that is kind of what I enjoyed about, and we've talked about this many times.
50s movies.
About the 50s going into the early 60s, because Universal is changing from monsters into, and The Creature from the Black Lagoon is like right in the middle there, where it's transferring over to space age and science fiction. Yep. Like even in the creature movies, they start talking about, you know, the scientific studies, you know, space and you know, things that you would only hear surgeons say or scientists say, you know,
the stars of the jungle.
Yeah, like later on in the third one, Creature Among Us, which we'll get to. You know, they start talking about like the blood corpuscles.
Yes, I want to talk about that.
But we'll talk about that when we get to it.
Some of that science is actually right. Some of it's wrong.
Right. But yeah, I mean,
the other thing I noticed about Creature is the little environmental message that was in there. Certainly, more than likely, not intended in 1954. But I like when Kay's having her smoke, and she just throws the cigarette into the water.
Yeah.
And then they pan down, and you see the creature just looking, you know, up, like, you know, here's what you're doing to my home. You're. And then the next scene is where they were putting all that poison stuff in the water, and you see all the fish, you know, floating on top, and man, you see like the effect of mankind into this, you know, pristine
and strange,
untouched by.
Yeah, strange to see that. For 1954,
probably not intended, but looking at it with today's eyes,
right?
You know, it's, you know, wow, you know, you know, it's just that those scenes happen to go together, and it created a little environmental message there. So
I don't think intentional.
I don't think so either. But
because they were handing packs of cigarettes out like crazy.
Yeah, here are the kids. You know,
there you go, smoke
Lucky Strikes.
Yeah, there you go. Ooh, refreshing on the breath, on the throat. Ooh, goes down smooth, but
smooth. God,
yeah, I know, so crazy when you think about it. But okay, so there you go. Again, if you want to see more, go to our commentary. Right. You know, we
best out of the
for an hour and a half on that,
and arguably one of the best out of the Universal monster movies. You know, it's it's top tier.
Yeah, and then we get to
the next year.
And all three of these movies came out subsequent years. You know, 55, 56. We get Revenge of the Creature from 1955.
Yeah.
I think the only actor who came back was...
Well, I think the guy who played
Lucas
the creature, I think, is the same guy.
Well, yeah, him.
But Lucas, the shipboat captain.
Yeah. Lucas
and
Nestor.
So if you remember, we're going to spoil things. If you haven't seen it, just shut us off. Go watch him. Come back. But at the end of Creature from the Black Lagoon, he gets riddled with some bullets, and as far as we know, they show him floating in the water. We don't know if he's dead or not. But
right.
If you don't watch the sequels, okay, he's dead. But in Revenge of the Creature, they're going on another expedition. This one is not to find fossils, which is what the original team was for.
Yeah.
This is to find and catch this sucker if it's still alive.
The Gilman.
If it's alive, we're catching it.
Yes.
Sure as shit, it's alive, and they catch it.
and they got crazy like sonar stuff that you can see these blobs under the water. They got very scientific in these 50s movies, and a lot are on point, but a lot aren't.
They dope him up.
And again, let me sum this movie up real quick, and we'll talk to it about it a little bit more. This movie, and I enjoyed it. It's classic.
It's short.
It's a classic short B Universal movie. There's not one I don't like, but this
$1.10.
This is almost filled with fluff.
It is. Very little happens.
It's a fluff movie. Yeah, very little happening,
especially in the first
creature-wise
45 minutes.
Yeah, even creature-wise, even him. I mean,
once he busts loose, okay, yeah, it gets a little interesting.
You get a lot of pan scenes of just under the water, like we're watching a documentary back, from the 50s.
Jacques Cousteau.
It's a stingray. Woo, whoa! But
he's captured, and then he's taken to Florida. From South America to Florida.
Oh, Pablo, you go to Florida.
Like some marina, where people can go, instead of hiding him away from the world.
It was funny?
And studying him like what would really happen, and we wouldn't be none the wiser.
Right.
And they would use all the things that they've gleaned from it to, make the United States technologically advanced to any of our competitors.
Yeah.
No, they're going to take him to SeaWorld and make an exhibit out of him.
Right.
Which is, that's what I'd like. Can we take those Bigfoot monsters we've caught and can we put them in a zoo? Can I see what they look like?
It's kind of crazy that was immediately what they were going to do. I mean, I'm sure while he's there, they were going to do some studying.
They tried to, but there's this little hot blonde, an ichthyologist, studies fish, by the way.
Helen, played by Lori Nelson.
Cute girl.
Yeah, no, they're all cute.
And he starts going for her. And it makes it difficult to do any kind of training with him because she's a distraction.
Right.
They do teach him, like...
for some reason, this creature from the Black Lagoon enjoys human women. I mean, species.
Something about women.
So, whatever.
I can't blame him.
And it doesn't look like he's got anything else to choose from. There's no other creatures or gill people swimming around.
That was an idea that they were going to do for the sequel.
I wish they would have.
They did make there's the Blu-rays and the DVDs have some documentaries and stuff, and they do show a sculpt of another gill person mask. It's a little bit wider, just a little bit different, and that was going to be the gill woman. They were going to introduce that concept, but it ended up not happening.
I would have loved a colony of gill people,
Well, I mean, that gets almost Lovecraftian.
Creatures,
when Lovecraft had, kind of fish people, Dagon.
Like what's the little thing you can get in the mail? Sea monkeys?
Yeah, sea monkeys.
And you put them in the water and they grow.
They're little gill people.
Basically little, where's... And you do it, and you're like, "Where's the face and the mouth?" What?
Yeah, then you feel really ripped off.
They're just little,
they're like little shrimps or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
I don't know what the hell they are. I ain't monkeys, I'll tell you that much. But they look like they did in the comic book.
I know.
They're playing harps and shit. Playing volleyball.
They look so cool. You think you're going to have little people, as pets.
Yes,
that's so awesome, man. And then you're let down. Same with the ant farms.
Yeah,
let's get
X-ray goggles.
Anything in the comic books, 5 days, but
never good toys. So they do teach him Well, they don't do much, really.
Yeah,
they're trying to train him to like take food, like on command.
Yeah.
Like they put like a bucket with fish, and they tell him no, like he can only touch it when they tell him he can touch it. Slowly trying to train him a little.
Because
bit.
they got him connected to a chain at the bottom of this.
Yeah.
Pool or aquarium type thing.
Yeah, aquarium.
It just seems very cruel to take this dude, this Gilman,
especially something that looks so human.
Yeah, and plop
and yes, he does. He's, obviously he's a close relative, and we'll find out how close in the next film.
Yeah,
but you're right. I think they mistreat him most of the time.
Yeah,
and finally, he busts loose. It don't take long.
Escape, man. He bust loose.
He busted loose.
He busted loose, man.
And
he's like, "Where's the nearest Red Lobster?"
Long story short, that I forgot the name of the restaurant where he kidnaps the woman. There's actually two guys in this movie that are kind of vying for the blonde. One of them ends up getting killed by the Gilman, but the other one, he's the scientist one, not the wolf. The trainer.
Yeah.
He's the jock. And
Joe Hayes.
Joe, yeah, he's the jock.
Yeah. Again, the characters from the 50s, these B movies, the actors are always...
We get the good ones in the next one, though.
Similar, and at least this one wasn't as bad as a lot of the other ones where, like... Well, even the 40s did that even more so. Even 30s, 40s, where like the young 20-something beautiful femme fatale was with a 50 or 60-year-old man.
Humphrey Bogart when he was 83.
Yeah, see, I'm a real man. I'm sophisticated.
Right.
But anyways, yeah.
They're going out on a date, remember? And they're at this little restaurant. I think it was something called a Lobster or something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe
in real life, it ended up burning down. But shortly after the movie was made, or maybe a few years after the movie.
Yeah, it was the Curse of the Gilman.
Curse of the Gilman.
That's made all the papers.
Yeah, I don't know, they're doing some steel drumming or something, playing some songs. Everyone's smoking, having a good time.
Yeah.
Eating shrimp cocktail, and
shrimp
next thing you know, Gilman shows up, grabs her, boom, into the water.
Yeah.
And really, there's not much else for the movie except they're using that sonar stuff, like you said. They're trying to track him.
It was very... even though the movie's short, it's weird how the second movie, and it gets better in the third movie, but this movie is just... It's one to skip. I'm not going to say don't watch it.
Unfortunately, you got to watch like the last 5 minutes to find out, to segue to the third one.
Yeah,
because they do kind of pick up one after the other a little bit.
I noticed the one boat in the harbor or wherever they were down in Florida. It actually said San Francisco on the back of it.
Well, maybe that's just where the boat was from,
Or they were filming in San Francisco.
No, they actually filmed it in Florida. So.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, they filmed in Florida. Some boats do. It depends on where it was, where...
Yeah, I'm not saying a San Francisco boat can't make it through the...
They go through the canal,
Panama Canal and come down to Florida.
The Gulf. Little interesting story I read, just looking up some research here, because I do my research on my monster movies. When the stuntman who was playing the Gilman, when he's grabbing the girl and jumps out,
remember the good old
restaurant? There was a current, a little freak current. The girl got away.
Okay.
But because the gill suit was so inflexible, it got waterlogged, and he was getting swept out and almost drowned. And it just happened to be a couple of maybe teenagers that were watching them make the movie.
Yeah.
And they were able to grab him and get him out of the water, else he probably would have drowned.
Wow.
Before they could get to him.
Okay.
So, almost.
Good info there.
Curse of the Gilman, again.
Yeah. Followed him wherever he went.
Just a little bit of a current, and it was dark, and like I said, that suit just started filling up with water.
I heard that in that filming location, that little lagoon area where he was actually... they filmed him swimming in and stuff like that underneath the water. That fish, for some reason, they started growing larger than they were soon after the movie was
They saw that and go, hey,
yeah. Like I think they said 6-foot-long goldfish and carp were in the lagoon. And
well, even the actors that had to... trying to take you seriously. But even the actors in the marina, they did
They even started to get larger than...
They got larger. They grew like 2 feet, like they were drinking Entourage or something from Treebeard.
Steroids.
But they had to swim with actually those sharks and everything like that, you know. And, oh yeah, they're perfectly tame, whatever. But I guess some snapping turtle came up and grabbed a big chunk off the creature's heel. Yeah. Didn't get the guy's flesh, but you know, tore a big chunk of it off, which they ended up having to get away and like super glue it because
those turtles, man,
they will get it, man. They thought that was food.
The power of their jaws is just unbelievable.
Absolutely,
the sea creatures. But yeah,
and a couple of guys driving in through the backwoods, the back roads, they end up finding, you know, like the creature comes ashore with the girl. Everybody kind of converges. Bam, 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 bam. He gets riddled with bullets a second time.
Yep.
And I think it's
Dude's got a ton of bullets in him.
I think it's the exact same shot from Creature of the Black Lagoon where he's floating in the water. I do notice a few reused shots.
Scenes. Yeah, you all right there?
Sorry.
The Protonics help?
It was like a burp and a yawn or something.
He burped and yawned at the same time. But yeah, no, so it ends pretty much with him,
right?
You know,
a little bit of a disappointing movie. I mean, if you're gonna watch all three, I mean, I've seen worse movies. I'm not putting it down there. I've seen way worse movies.
Right.
Like Shape of Water, and
we'll talk about that after. But anyways,
yes, because we have differing opinions on it.
Yes, we do. But so we segue into
we get back in that ass.
Creature Walks Among Us.
Oh, one thing we also have to mention is Revenge of the Creature was Clint Eastwood's first
film role. Thank you.
He's completely uncredited.
Yes.
He plays a scientist named Jenkins. He's got a little bit about something ate my mouse and the mouse is in his pocket.
Yeah.
But he had been on TV and stuff, but this was the first time that he was in a motion picture.
Right.
His first film.
Yes, yeah. And he has a line.
A couple lines.
Yeah, when that came up, I'm like, I got to speak about that. And I forgot. Thank you for
because it's so forgettable.
No, I know. It's just a quick...
And ain't that funny, you know, how 10 years later...
And it's funny seeing him act in this movie, too. A total different Clint Eastwood.
You know, 10, 12 years later, he's going to be in, you know, The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. And...
Yeah. I know, yeah.
Where's our full-length commentary on The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly?
One day.
Come on, man. We got 3 hours to kill.
So, Creature Walks Among Us, 1956, the third in the trilogy.
My favorite of the sequels.
Directed by John Sherwood, who was...
I believe the assistant for Jack Arnold.
Yeah.
He got a little bump up as Jack Arnold moved up into the A pictures.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and like I said, that's how the studio system would usually work. Because you worked for the studio. It's not like... how it is nowadays, you know, where you know, Steven Spielberg makes a movie for this company, that
it still happens here or there where, you know, people started out as a, you know,
but like even actors belong to certain studios or would get loaned out for bigger pictures, you know, stuff like that. You know, if you were a Clark Gable, you know, you did pictures for, you know, MGM or Warner Brothers or whoever you were working with.
Yeah.
But there are some people, and actually I was reading not the most recent issue of Scary Monsters magazine, but last quarter's issue was about sea creature movies. So a couple articles about Creature in the Black Lagoon didn't really give too much that I didn't already know, but there was a good article on Creature Walks Among Us and some of the biological things they talk about, like you were just mentioning. I can dish a little bit. I can dish.
No, we'll get into this. So this is...
I think it's a damn good movie.
It's a good movie. I mean, you know...
It completes the creature's arc.
It does. Again, 2, 3, much better. They did a much better job with this one.
It's the same creature. It's not like it's a different Frankenstein's monster or a different wolf person.
Well...
This is the same creature in all 3 films.
Right.
And what happens to him.
And we'll get to that. Halfway through the movie, there's kind of a transformation, and we'll talk about that as we get to it. But you know, the femme fatale in this one is Lee Snowden.
Not bad looking.
And another very pretty blonde
I'd
from
snort some
the
coke
time
off
period.
Her butt.
But yeah, and then you got Dr. William Barton and Dr. Thomas Morgan. These both are, you know, she's with an older guy.
Dr. Barton.
Yeah, right? and of course the younger doctor.
And there's some interesting dynamic there because he's very
showing. Yeah,
I was just going to say because he's very jealous. You know,
I see this throughout a lot of these older movies, though, where the older guys with the younger girl, and there's totally.
Why does he bring her on the boat with all these guys?
Well, he's got to bring her along. I mean,
he can't leave her at home.
But there's always that dynamic with these older movies where the younger love interest always comes out in the end with the woman and
she
the older
rebuffs
guy.
pretty much everybody. She does stay loyal to him. But he is overly jealous, and he actually starts to break down a little bit as the film goes on. Yeah. So there's a little bit of character. He's not just a cardboard cutout character.
Oh, no, right. No, these characters are much better than the second film.
Rex Reason,
without a doubt,
who plays Dr. Morgan. Yeah. Actually, both of those actors were in This Island Earth the year before.
Yes.
He was Cal.
If you want to see a great...
Even though MST3K made fun of it in the movie, but it was funny.
No, I know.
They did a great job.
Yeah, but a good
Rex Reason played Dr. Cal something or other, and Jeff Morrow played the alien, Exeter.
Yeah.
They had like the bigger head, but both of them had worked together before. So, and sometimes people put that on the list of Universal monster pictures just because of this little Metalunan guy, but he's barely in the damn movie anyway. He's cool.
Yeah, true. Well,
he's barely in it.
But he's exactly. But it doesn't happen in a lot of movies.
I guess with the Mummy as well. I mean, he's in it, but way better.
but this creature is the Metaluna from great creature.
You remember him?
I mean,
finally coming out on Blu-ray, by the way.
But anyways, the beginning of this movie. Yeah.
Tap the table.
Beginning of this movie, we start out kind of same as the second one, where they're going back to
the Everglades this time.
Yes, to get the Gilman, and their talk at the beginning.
Because there's been some sightings.
Yes,
they're gonna meet a guy who's fought the thing off and lived.
Right. And the one doctor. It has kind of got a different spin on things, and
they've got a lot of doctors on where they've got X-ray technicians, biologists.
The conversation the three had at the beginning of the film, where he was it Dr. Barton, the older one, right? That talks about him making kind of a. If you want to get into about the genome stuff and all that, like the blood, his thought process is he can make this Gilman more human because
once they start learning about its blood and everything,
because we want to reach out to space and beyond, and the other guy says we should leave things as they are,
tamper with nature.
Yes, if we as humans one day are ready to make it out there and it's time, we will make it, and
if it's not, nature will select
whatever
organism will do it.
But that doctor says, I will get other people to help me out then, because this is the way I'm doing it.
It's like, no, I'm watching you.
And he said, if you want to go. But they're like, no, we want to see this through too. And
so they're on a boat again, another boat. In the Everglades. And they're going to go find this guy who encountered the Gilman. Had to stab it a few times. And he took some damage too, sliced, and he's limping. But he still has the knife, which has some of the blood on it. Yeah. And then they were able to take the samples of the blood and analyze it. And some of the things they talk about, it sounds like medical mumbo jumbo, but some of it, from reading my magazine article about it, some of it actually holds true. Like they ask if they've discovered that the red blood cells do not have a nucleus. The creature's red blood cells have a nucleus. Now, this is a fish. It's not a mammal. Excuse me. So, but mammals, with the exception of a duck, I think.
Yeah.
Their red blood cells, like our red blood cells, have no nucleus. During cell division, we lose the nucleus so that there's more hemoglobin inside the red blood cell to carry oxygen, which is why, let's say when you donate blood, it's got to be used within a few months, or it's no good because the red blood cells won't last. Because there's no nucleus, there's no more cell replication. So that part's kind of true. So what they discover is that the creature is maybe a little bit more closely related to a mammal than a fish.
Right.
All right, so that's what gets his idea going that, hey, we can start working with this thing a little bit. They mentioned some things about beveled cells and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That's a little bit above my pay grade. But at least,
they go a little deep on the...
But the oxygen carrying capacity of the cell and the no nucleus makes the creature a little bit more mammalian than fish. So that's where they feel like, there's some compatibility. So once they... And I forget exactly. Well, they have to go out and capture this damn creature now.
Yes, they do. And they get on the boat, head out there, and...
The little boat.
Yeah.
And they're using the sonar again. They describe it how, the size of the blips, you can tell exactly what kind of fish it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's really true. You see some blip, can you tell exactly what kind of creature
to a point.
it is?
I mean, I've seen shows on like Discovery Channel and stuff like that where the sonar, they can tell if it's what kind of fish it is, or if it's a school of fish, or what, so
maybe
there's something to it, so
right.
yeah, I mean,
so they know where it is, and all of a sudden it jumps up, it bashes the light. They're fighting it a little bit by the boat, they all get dumped out of the boat.
Yep.
Long story short there,
they shoot the hell out of it again.
Oh, of course. Well, actually, they don't want to do that. The guys because they don't want to hurt it. They want it alive. And when it knocks the light out, they make some little, I don't know, like little gasoline bomb things for some light. The guy throws one of them at it, and the creature just starts burning all up.
Right.
Now, I think in the first one, he caught on fire a little bit too, but I guess this one was worse.
Right.
Because he jumps in the water, and he just kind of collapses on a tree in the... in the Everglades. Oh, you know what? Even being in the Everglades as well is kind of interesting because in the Amazon, that's freshwater.
Right.
But the Everglades, which is so close to the ocean,
has salt water.
There is it's more saline.
Yeah.
It's whereas what's interesting
the tributaries off of the Mississippi and all these other,
make it a little bit more saltwater. So what's interesting is like in the Everglades, fresh and salt, some fresh, some salt can kind of cohabitate.
As the high tide comes in, it brings in the water, they mix.
So it's like some fish that are saltwater fish can actually, live in the Everglade water because of the saline content.
In the area, so we're getting scientific,
the creature
have adapted to the salt.
Must also be able to adapt that.
Yeah.
So that's something. There's a term for it. I can't remember what it is.
This week on Discovery Channel.
But he is capable of adapting from fresh to salt water.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So, oh boy, you don't get this in other shows. You don't want this in other shows.
Hopefully you're enjoying this.
Well, because we love these movies. And when they do talk that babble stuff, it's interesting to know if the people who are writing it kind of maybe... thought of what they were talking about.
Yeah. No, of course I think they had to a point.
And I think it's interesting when, hey, shit, that turns out to be true.
Because that was one of the things I was thinking of when he was brought from the Amazon, and plopped right into the Everglades and stuff like that.
Everglades isn't 100% saltwater, but it's way more salty than the Amazon.
Right.
So if you want to get technical, there it is. And
so they do get him.
And they bring him on board. Yeah. And they've noticed he's not getting much oxygen because he can breathe out of water for a little while.
Right.
But and you wonder how. He's got gills. How does that happen? They notice that the flames have sealed his gills shut, burned his gills shut, and he's breathing, but not breathing well. Yeah. They do an X-ray and find that he does have some makeshift lungs.
Right.
But like some fish, I think like they said like a lungfish maybe, where it does have lungs, there's a little flap. And when they are on land or when that needs to be opened, that flap will open so that the fish can breathe. But I think the fire just...
Oh, interesting.
Damaged his throat, and they actually do a tracheotomy, which I'm just like, that makes sense. They're going to do the tracheotomy. They do that. The air starts going into the lungs. The flap opens, and he can breathe. Until this can heal
Fix
up
things
a bit.
up. Yeah.
And I thought that was fascinating.
No, it was cool.
They did an emergency tracheotomy. That's exactly what you would do on a person in a situation like that.
No, that's I mean. Again, some of the scientific stuff that they were talking about and doing was spot on, and it's always interesting watching these films some of the films get out of hand when you talk about Universal sci-fi films back in, the early 60s too. Even up through then. They get out of hand with their explanation.
Don't have to be Universal. They could be any one of those.
Any one of them,
those big bug ones and
Oh well, yeah, especially those ones because they go out of their way to explain things, and you go like after they explain it, you go like this.
Wait a cotton picking minute.
Ain't no way that's possible. Ain't gonna happen. But anyway.
Even the good ones like the Black Scorpion, which has really good special effects, and it's like still,
No, I know, but yeah.
Which if you haven't seen, it's a good one. Willis O'Brien did the effects for that.
Right.
I think the last film he worked
Scorpion,
on, Black Scorpion.
So
he's all bandaged up.
There's a transition going on now, yeah.
And when they finally get the bandages off, they realize that all the scale skin has burned away, and the tissue underneath is more like human skin. Mm-hmm. So they're like, what's his nuts? Dr. Barton.
Yeah, Dr. Barton.
He's got a huge heart on now. That now basically he just wants to take him and almost Dr. Moreau-ish.
Yeah.
Taking an animal and or something more animal and creating it into human, make it be a functioning, almost human being type creature.
He wanted to create his own creature, a new life form, kind of.
But at the same time, the idea is to learn as much from it as you can.
Right.
So that like they said, it's a creature that can live in water, can live in on land.
Pull something out of there and make a better
for space travel and stuff like that. A lot of information we can use.
Yeah.
So they end up getting it. To Dr. Barton's home, and basically just lock it up in a cell outside.
Yeah.
With what else is in that cell? Goats.
I think there was
sheep and shit.
Yeah.
And they put clothes on him, and even his eyes change. His eyes become more human.
Well, he looks. This is okay. How can I say this?
The scales have come off the eyes.
How can I say this? I mean, I'm not going to. You love that creature from the Black Lagoon, that Gilman.
You feel bad for what's happened to him.
But when he transforms and all those gills are off of him and stuff, and you pretty much get a different monster, a creature. On the second half of this film. Man. No, I know.
They did this
but I'm saying not story wise, but just practical effects, like looking. He looks. The look of him just is odd. Okay, I mean, yeah. Again, you kind of transfer from what the creature looked like to more of a monster, though. You know what I'm saying? Then it becomes more of a monster movie kind of thing, and I don't know. I didn't like the look of him a whole lot. I don't know. Anyways.
Well, he went through a trauma. And,
of course he did.
And they altered him.
Yeah.
And this is what he's become. And that's the whole arc of the trilogies. What we have done. We've taken him. First, we invade his home. We take him from his home.
Yep. God damn us.
And then we alter him. Mm-hmm. All without him being okay with it.
Right.
And in the end, all he wants is to be what he was.
Right.
But we haven't gotten there yet. So,
let's get there.
So what's going on? Let's see. So he's in the cage.
Well, he's starting to get this again. The attraction, between him and the woman.
Again,
there's always and there starts to become a. They shoot over to the dynamic between the doctors and the love interest, the female.
Yeah.
And
how'd you like the part when they were first looking for the creature and she got all like she dove too far and got like all pressure drunk?
Yeah.
That was a weird scene.
We're jumping back a little bit in the movie.
A little before they caught him.
Yeah, she was diving, and they didn't want her to dive really either. They're like,
her husband didn't want her
to.
I forbid it.
I forbid it.
I'm going anyway.
Yeah. Well, the other guy starts putting the thing on her. Yeah, what's the harm? Let her go. And the guy's going, you bastard. Mm. But yeah, she gets down there, and she goes so deep, and they get a close-up of her face when she's down there, where her eyes start closing.
And she almost is doing ballerina spins.
Yeah, and then she's like, she's out of it.
There's music playing. She's taking her oxygen off. And it was a weird scene, but it's what can happen when you go too deep.
Yeah.
You get the...
Very interesting scene.
When you go from pressure deep to you have to go in. They even mention that in the first one. You have to go in increments.
Oh, yeah,
so
you
that
can
you
pop,
don't get the bends and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can pop blood vessels,
like
capillaries.
What was his name in The Abyss?
Aneurysms.
Michael Biehn.
The Abyss.
When he went a little nuts in The Abyss.
I got to revisit that movie real soon.
Yeah, you think it would be on Blu-ray, but it's not.
Ah, damn it. Unbelievable. So getting back to where we were then,
jealousies ensue.
Jealousy,
especially with this one
that's a
lowly
big part
guy.
Of it.
I can't remember his name.
He attacks her.
The guy,
at one point.
Dr. Bart, he just ends up firing the guy, throwing him. Well, he fires him, but then the guy starts opening his mouth a little bit. Yeah, if it wasn't me, it's going to be somebody else. You think a hot broad like that's just going to
stick around with you? Yeah.
And the guy,
bastard.
I think he's got a pistol in his hand. He pistol whips him to death. And the creature in the pen outside, because they were heading outside when this happens, no one else is around.
Right.
He sees him kill him.
Yep.
And it's like, oh, he's having a no shit day. What am I going to do? He's like, okay, I'm going to go put the body over here in the pen and blame it on the creature.
Yeah.
And that causes the creature to go completely crazy because I think he realizes what the guy's going to do.
Oh yeah, he's got some smarts. He's got some brains. He's
it's an electrified fence, by the way.
Yeah.
And they just shake it and shake it. And he busts loose.
The strength that this creature has
10 men.
It's unbelievable, man.
And he gets loose, and basically makes his way.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, I mean, I don't
going after the.
He doesn't even really do it. I mean, the blonde. I mean, even though there is a little bit of a track, it doesn't seem to be as much as in the previous.
No,
one.
I think he's more so going after the men who captured him.
But ultimately, he makes his way to the sea.
Yeah,
and this is the ocean, and the
and
final.
He even sings. He gets this very beautiful operatic voice. Come with me,
You're belittling the ending of the film.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
Because he sees the sea and he longs to be what he was. He can't go there anymore because he doesn't have gills anymore. He has lungs. Right. He has to breathe oxygen.
Yes.
Because that's one thing. Like when he was all burned up.
Right. Burned.
Or no, he...
proper pronunciation
I forgot.
Burned.
Because he does jump in the water.
Yes.
And they have to go in and rescue him. And they got the oxygen hose.
Right.
There's one point. I can't remember exactly what point in the movie that happens in. But yeah, he has to have the
both
oxygen.
Times that happened, I was wondering, when you put that in, isn't there water going down?
Well, if he's sucking on it, I guess. Yes. But anyway, he sees the ocean. He longs to be what he was, for all these horrible things to have never happened. And you don't see him go in the water, but the implication is he's going towards the water.
Yeah.
And we know that he can't survive in the water anymore.
Right.
So once he goes into that ocean and goes under, he will drown and he will die.
Yeah.
And I think that's exactly what his intention is, just to go back into the water, to be home
Yep.
for that few minutes until he's drowned and dead.
Yeah.
And that is the arc of the creature from the Black Lagoon.
Well, but again, real quick, that ending there when he does make his way to the sea.
Yeah.
And he's just destroying everything in sight. I love the effects where he even flips a couch.
Flips a
couch. But you could tell that like the special effects part of it is they like pull it so that it makes it look like the couch goes flying.
He really did that.
And he topples over a gigantic brick structure and all that. Just kind of a cool monster walk to the sea.
Pissed.
That was just, but yeah, like you said, completing the arc, it's
and it's sad. You feel so horrible for him at the end because
he's a pitiable monster.
He didn't do anything that wasn't in his nature to do.
Right.
He was invaded, stolen away, and altered.
Yeah.
And he can't even be what he was.
Right.
And it wasn't right and it wasn't fair.
And it's for exactly. And it's for the main universal monsters, whereas all of the films I enjoy, like the Wolfman series, there's not a movie I don't like. Dracula, not one I don't like. Frankenstein, not one I don't like. Creature we get to, and for me, the first one is just one of the best of the Universals. I really enjoy that movie that much. But second one, it's a trilogy that doesn't live up to The Mummy, Dracula, Frankenstein, Wolfman.
I think the third one makes up for it.
The third one, kind of fixes it.
Still not as good as the first one.
No, not
but
at all.
It completes the story.
It does.
It makes sense.
I'm not putting
gives you a little sad end.
Anything down, but yeah, I mean that's kind of my take on that trilogy. But well worth a watch if you're a Universal Monsters fan. If you're an old school monster guy,
thinking about being old school.
Yeah, watch
what
the
are those
trilogy.
guys talking about?
Or just watch the first one, and maybe don't. But again, if you do fall in love with all the old black and whites,
and you will,
you gotta watch. Even if the middle one's not so great, you gotta watch the trilogy of The Creature from the Black Lagoon. And so that's our take on that trilogy. That great,
So is there any
dynamic
other sea monster kind of movies that you like?
Let's talk a little bit about Shape of Water, since it kind of goes with the Creature from the Black Lagoon trilogy. And you were talking about earlier before we started the show about how
I don't like it.
There's a difference. Well, Creature from the Black Lagoon and most of these creature movies back in the day,
this is my point,
the monsters always had an attraction towards the females.
Right.
Okay, the human species.
And the reason I suggested why...
And Shape of Water, rounding it back out and reversing...
Right, it flips the script.
Yeah.
It's the woman who's attracted to the creature, and maybe that's why I don't care for it as much. Maybe it just doesn't...
I'm surprised you don't like it as much
I love
as
the costume.
I
love the creature effects.
I love this movie,
I even love
man.
the buildup of the friendship.
Okay.
It's just when you get to the sex part
that
you lose me.
I know. A lot of people say this.
If you could just have made it a friendship kind of thing, and I want to save you, then it would have been... But then you put that in there, and that's probably some kind of Hollywood code for it's okay to screw kids. And
oh God,
and that's why it wins Best Picture. So all the
Ted,
pedophiles...
we had a nice show. Let's not go deep into what we're talking about.
I'm kidding.
I get what you're saying.
I don't really mean that.
I get what you're saying.
But as soon as that happens,
there's a weird dynamic if you think of it that way. But see.
And there's so much other stuff in that movie that doesn't... I mean, I get it. You got all these lonely characters. You got the gay guy who's, in the 60s. And, you've got, the minorities that are fighting for their rights. And that's going on the TV and in the background. Right. And, you've got her...
Some subtext in the movie.
I get it. I'm not stupid. I get why all these characters are there.
But I think they spun the story at the very end, though...
to make her one of them.
Yeah, to make it seem like, it's not just a human girl making love to this fish guy.
No, she's got some scars on her neck. Well, those have to be gills. And then
there's something
he
with
gets his little
her.
Blue light thing going on and turns her into a fish.
There's more of a sci-fi kind of
gill woman.
There's more of a sci-fi kind of fantasy kind of twist to this movie than just fish and woman, okay?
I think because the roles are reversed.
That's why I totally say, hey.
It put me off.
Yeah.
However, all of that being said, and I have tried to watch... I've watched the movie.
It was magical at the end.
I watched the whole movie.
Yeah.
And then last night, to prepare for the show, I did try to watch it again. Because you would think a film like that would be right up my alley.
Right.
All right? If they made a movie like that for anybody, they made it for me. And I'm sorry I didn't like it. I like Del Toro's other
even if you think of
movies, lots of his other movies. I think as soon as you just get to the intercourse thing, it just takes the monster kid out of me. Like now it's just too damn adult.
But even thinking of it as the way the ending kind of go, and even listening to what I'm saying, there's kind of a magical fantasy part to that very ending.
Can't get over that.
She's another pitiable character.
And I can't get over her friend's reaction, her nonchalant reaction, when she expresses to her that that's what they did.
Yeah.
I'd be freaking out. You've got diseases. Get out of here. I mean, what if some woman come up to you and said, I just stuck some fish up my vagina? I mean, exactly.
But it's not the same.
How is it different? He's a fish.
No, he's not a fish.
Well,
he's some kind of...
fish man?
But there's more to it. There's kind of a sci-fi twist. Like, where are the other creatures
bestiality,
like that?
Dude.
So you say if some alien from another planet shows up, okay?
Yes.
Which could very well be what the ending kind of hinted at a bit or something.
As long as they have the same parts, it's okay. He didn't have the same parts.
Okay, we're going to agree to disagree in this film.
Exactly. But I'm not the only one.
I see it more of I know.
Because a lot of monster kids didn't dig this movie. However, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's
But what I will say is that I'm glad it won Best Picture. I'm glad a film like that can take home a Best Picture Oscar when no other kind of monster movie like that would.
Yeah.
So it gets a thumbs up for me for that reason.
Yeah.
And there's nothing inherently wrong with the film. That's a little hump that I can't get over.
No, I get you.
And I'm not saying it's a bad movie. I'm just saying I didn't like the movie.
No, right, okay. Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
There you go.
I like the movie until that point, when that plot device comes in.
I'm shocked you can't get over that and think of it in a different way. Like, especially the way that ending kind of happened. But
it takes the kid out of me, I think.
Okay.
It takes the kid out of me, and it makes me have to be an adult.
I get it.
To watch that monster movie.
Yeah.
And whereas when I watch a monster, I just remember being a kid sitting on, my mom and dad's bed, eating a snack, watching it on their TV in the room, or watching it on my little black and white TV in my room if it was late at night. And
same here, man.
That film just takes the kid out of me because I have to endure mature themes.
Very well. Understood.
Thank you.
Any other like kind of
sea creature movies?
Yeah, creature movies kind of like The Creature from the Black Lagoon that you can think of?
There's Dagon, which has like that's a Stuart Gordon movie from Reanimator. It's got kind of fish sort of people in it.
Okay.
Based on H.P. Lovecraft.
Yeah.
It's got Jeffrey Combs in it.
Okay.
It's pretty well. It's all right. It's not horrible.
It's all right.
Mm-hmm. Even The Haunted Palace with Vincent Price sort of has sort of deformed, fishy kind of people in it. There's War Gods of the Deep with Vincent Price with some seamen in it. Seamen? Oh, God.
With some seamen in it.
What's that other one we talked about? It had Doug McClure, Humanoids from the Deep.
Oh,
where these sea creatures like the Creature in the Black Lagoon are basically just raping women, and I mean that's all they're doing.
Yeah, definitely a horror movie.
That's on Amazon Prime to watch, I think. It's not bad. I mean, I watched the whole. It's not great, but I watched the whole damn thing.
Yeah.
I mean, Doug McClure, I usually watch him in anything, but it wasn't bad. Some of the monsters look kind of cool. So, and then they all attack at the end, and the whole town's got to fight them off. So, there's movies like that. They're all a little bit Lovecraftian.
Yeah.
With these sea creatures like that. And if you've read Lovecraft, you know what I'm talking about. But there's some good ones out there that have been influenced by Creature from the Black Lagoon.
Cool. So there you go. Another show in the books. Want to thank everybody. For their support and stuff like that.
Hope you stuck around for the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, if you did,
because it was educational.
Comments below. Yeah, it's just, every now and then we get a little bit more serious than joking, and this was...
When it's something I really like, man, I'm serious as a heart attack.
Yeah, heck yeah.
When it's something worth making fun of, I'll make fun of it.
But yeah, so there you go, man.
Night of the Living Donuts or whatever.
Creature from the Black Lagoon Trilogy.
Yes.
Blog, whatever you want to call it. What we do. The show. But yeah, check us out. All the links below. And until next time, you guys, we will see you. Peace out.